Hi everyone, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. Today we're going to be reviewing my experience cooking this beautiful tri-tip. This is a USDA Prime tri-tip that I got from a new vendor local to my area in South Florida. I was pretty excited about it for a couple reasons. The first reason is that this is my second time cooking tri-tip and I've been waiting to do it again since the first time I had it. And then also I've been waiting to use this vendor. So the first tri-tip actually came from them, but I walked into their store and I picked it up. And this time I got it delivered to my house. They offer free same-day delivery in South Florida. So good price. This is a prime, like I said, 7.48 a pound. This roast weighed in at 2.38 pounds. In total, it cost me $17.80 delivered to my home. So I thought it was really good. And so yeah, let's just dive in. Thanks. This roast was delivered to me frozen, and I did thaw it out in a cooler overnight to get it to a good state. And then I rinsed it with water, and then I patted it down with paper towels. Great marbling on it. The steak looks really good. It looks like it's been trimmed. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim a little bit more off. I'm not going to take too much. I do know that it could use some of the protection. I just not familiar with the steak, but I do want to get some of the silver skin off that I can get to without cutting deep into the meat. I'm going to rub it down with olive oil on both sides, and then I'm going to coat it with that same steak seasoning from the prime rib, altered just a little bit. It's going to be 1 parts salt, pepper, and then half parts of garlic, onion, rosemary, thyme, oregano, coriander seeds, and fennel seeds. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and fast forward through that process, and then we're going to come back when the steak is seasoned and ready to go on the grill. So the roast has been seasoned on all sides, even the ends. The plan here now is to go ahead and get the Weber kettle set up for reverse searing it. We're going to reverse sear this roast, and then we're going to add some hickory wood while we're doing that to give it a little smoky flavor. And then when I get it internal to rare, maybe like 115 degrees, I'm going to pull it off the kettle, and then I'm going to add more charcoal to the kettle, get it really hot, because then we're going to sear it. I really want to get this to rare, serve it at rare, because of the prime rib. I don't really want to repeat that mistake, so I'm really going to want to get this right. Um, so yeah, that's it. Let's go. So we got the grill set up for reverse searing. Charcoal's already ready. Pour them in on one side, and then I'm going to go ahead and add a water pan this time on the other side, mainly because I do know that this one is going to take a little bit longer, and just keeping it dry with a drip pan, I'm afraid I may dry out this roast, so I don't want to do that. So I am going to add some water. The cooker is not level, but whatever. It doesn't really matter at this point. Yeah, I'll be back when we're ready to put the roast on the grill. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to lay the roast on the grill with the thicker side facing towards the coals. We're going to put a thermometer probe inside, and then we're going to add some hickory wood. I'm going to keep it on here smoking until the internal temp is about 100 degrees, and then we're going to come back and we're going to flip the roast so it's cooked evenly on both sides. See you later. In case you're interested in seeing the meat flip, here you go. Internal temperature of this roast is about 108 degrees, maybe a little too early, but still I'm going to go ahead and open up the vents, and then I'm going to wait for this piece of hickory to catch, and then we're going to add some more charcoal to get the grill nice and hot. What we want to do is we want to go ahead and sear this tri-tip on both sides to get a nice good crust on it, and it'll ensure the great flavor of our steak rub that we added to it. It's my little trick for getting charcoals into that second basket. I do use the charcoal baskets from Weber, a little unconventional. I haven't yet splurged on the slow and sear from ABC, but maybe one day, who knows. Pulled it off the grill for a second. As you can see, our steak seasoning stuck very nicely. Looks great. Still has a rare texture to it. Ready to get seared. The grill is definitely hot enough to sear the tri-tip, so we're going to place it over the coals and we're going to keep it there until we can see some grill marks, and then we're going to flip it. Speaking of grill marks, after this steak, I do think that I'm going to go ahead and invest in an upgraded grate for the Weber kettle. I think I'm going to go cast iron for sure over stainless steel. Um, I'm just craving those steakhouse grid marks. So I know that you can get them with these, but I think it's a lot easier with cast iron. So I'm looking at the Mallory grate, but I don't know everything that's out there, so maybe you guys know. Why don't you let me know in the comments below what the grates are out there, and maybe we can get one for the channel. Let me know what you want to see, and I'll go ahead and I'll drive towards that. So yeah, we're gonna keep it on here. I do know that I'm not gonna overcook it because I pulled it off when it was around 115, so I'm not really concerned about that now. I just want to make sure that aesthetically I get the grill marks, and we're gonna flip it, and then we're gonna come back when it's rested and ready to be cut into steaks. This roast has been resting for 10 minutes. As you can see, it has great crust on it from our steak seasoning. Most of our steak seasoning is still intact, and that has to do with the reverse searing. As you can see, I'm kind of like scoping out the meat, and I'm going to try and get a kind of a cutting scheme here. This is my second time cooking this roast, and I kind of don't know what I'm doing. But it's all good. I did cut it with the grain, and I got a perfect rare, and that's what I was shooting for. Um, and I cut it with the grain, and then I cut it into individual slices against the grain. And I think this was a mistake. Um, and the reason being is because the first cut that my wife took, she took a bite into it and it was pretty tough, and I confirmed that it was tough. And I think next time I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the same thing that I do with picanha. And with picanha, I cut it with the grain, and that's because the final cut of the steak of the end user will be against the grain. And I think Guga can go ahead and explain that better. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a link to Guga Foods and that video where he explains it below, because he can probably explain it better than me. And the other thing that I'm going to take note here is that although I cooked it rare, I do think that the next time I cook this roast, I'm going to kick it up to like maybe medium rare. It's not that it was terrible or bad or anything. It's just that I did notice that the fat, the intramuscular fat, didn't really render out. So maybe this roast or this steak needs to be cooked a little bit higher. Maybe that's just my palate. This is the second time that I'm cooking this, like I said, and that's the whole thing about being a test kitchen and being in R&D. So, thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. But right before we go, I do want to say this. If you enjoyed this video or any of the other content on my channel, please subscribe and don't forget to like our videos and hit the notification bell. Also, we may not get it around to making videos all the time, so we're on social media. If you want to know what we're cooking while we're cooking it, or maybe before the video comes out, make sure to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. SoFloTK. Thanks again. Signing out.